She did not scream when she found her husband face down in the Powder River. She only screamed when she saw Eli McCree come riding out of the dust the next morning. Lily Hart had been a widow for 3 months, and in Sheridan, that was already long enough for folks to forget your name. But the fear in her eyes that morning made every ranch hand on the street look twice. Even if none of them had the courage to ask why she had ridden through town with her dress torn and her hands shaking, she did not stop for anyone. She rode straight past the blacksmith, past the saloon, where 2 men spat tobacco at her horse, past the church steps, where the preacher gave her a pity nod she did not trust. She kept riding until she reached the one ranch everyone said belonged to a man who feared nothing. If this man turned her away, there would be nowhere else to go. Eli McCree. Most folks in Sheridan only whispered his name. Some called him a quiet storm. Others said he was the reason the old Bozeman Trail still had a sheriff. But what people agreed on was simple. If trouble came for you and you had nowhere else to run, you rode to the McCree place and prayed he was in a good mood. Lily did not pray. She slammed her boots on the dirt and walked right up to him as he was feeding salt to a young ram. Eli looked up slow as sunrise, and she swore his eyes could see every lie a man had ever told her. For the first time since the funeral, she felt like someone was really looking at her, not just at her black dress. He asked if she had been followed. She nodded. Then she told him everything she knew. The cut fences at her ranch near the foothills of the Big Horn Mountains, the rocks tossed into her well, the shadow that walked past her window at midnight. The voice outside her barn whispering that a woman alone could not hold land in Wyoming territory. Eli listened without blinking. The wind pushed dust across his boots. The ram flicked its ears like it understood trouble was coming. Out here, even the horses knew when a storm was about to break. And this did not feel like the kind that brought rain. When Lily finally said the name Harland Voss, Eli's jaw tightened just once, like a man hearing an old bullet shift in a scar. He knew that name. Everyone did. Cattle king, land thief, man who claimed her husband's death had been an accident on the trail. Lily stepped closer. Her voice cracked. She said she did not come for pity. She came because someone wanted her land and someone wanted her gone, and she needed a man who did not scare easy. Eli wiped his hands, looked at the mountains, then looked back at her like he was measuring how much fight she had left. He asked one question, a quiet one, the kind that decides the whole story before it even starts. Are you ready for the truth that might come with this? And Lily answered with a question of her own. What if the truth is worse than the man who killed my husband? Eli saddled up without another word, and Lily rode beside him all the way back to Hart Ranch, trying not to picture the look she had seen in his eyes when she said the name Harland Voss. It was not fear. It was something colder, like a memory he did not care to revisit. By the time they reached the ranch, the afternoon sun was melting into that harsh Wyoming gold that made every shadow look sharper than it should. Lily kept talking to stop her mind from chasing ghosts. She pointed at the leaning fence, the scattered hay, the thump she had heard behind the barn. Eli only nodded, crouching to study footprints she had not noticed before. He did not explain anything. He never did, but when he straightened up, she saw it. Confirmation. Someone had been here. He walked to the front porch where a big bale of hay sat half-broken, leaning against the old storage box Lily had been trying to drag that morning. She felt embarrassed just remembering it. She had grunted and pulled at that thing for a good 10 minutes before giving up. Eli tapped the side of it, testing the frame, then looked at her with a tiny smirk. It is too big for you to drag. Too big. Just sit on it so I can see what is wrong with these braces. The way he said it made her roll her eyes, but her pulse still jumped a little. It was unfair how easy it was for an older man to do that, especially one who barely talked. She stepped toward the hay bale, lifted her skirt just enough not to trip, and got ready to sit so he could check the wood joints under it. That was when she heard it, a soft, dry, shaking sound, something like beans rattling in a tin can. It came from right under her boots. Lily froze, her breath caught in her throat. She glanced down. A fat rattlesnake slid out from the straw, its tail twitching, its head rising, eyes fixed on the place she had been about to sit. She gasped and stumbled back, heel catching the edge of the porch, and she pitched backward hard. Eli reached for her on instinct, and they both nearly went down. his arm locked around her waist to keep her upright, her hands clutching at his shirt as she pressed into his chest. Only then, with her breath still shaking against him, did he draw his revolver. One clean shot cracked the air. The snake dropped without even a twitch. Lily stared at the dead thing lying exactly where her legs had been. If she had sat down one heartbeat sooner, this story would have ended on that porch. Her skin crawled, her stomach flipped, and for the first time, she wondered if the snake had truly wandered there on its own. Because when Eli picked up the body to inspect it, his face shifted in a way that made her blood run cold. Why did the snake have a rope mark around its tail? Eli held that dead rattlesnake like it was a clue from a crime scene, not an animal. Lily watched his eyes narrow, calm, but sharp, the way an old tracker studies a print in the mud. He turned the body slightly, and there it was again. A thin line pressed deep into the scales on the tail, almost like someone had tied the snake up, carried it, and dropped it exactly where she was about to sit. Lily felt the hair on her arms rise, not from fear this time, but from anger. She thought she had buried with her husband. Someone wanted her gone. Someone wanted her scared enough to run or careless enough to die. And that someone knew exactly where she lived, where she walked, and where she sat in the mornings when she drank her coffee. Eli set the snake down and dusted his hand slow and steady. He did not raise his voice. He did not curse. He did not even look surprised. He just looked tired of men who believed they owned the whole territory. He asked Lily if she had noticed anything missing, anything moved, anything out of place. She shook her head, though she remembered the hay bale leaning wrong and the fence rails tucked under it like someone had handled them in a hurry. Eli walked around the porch studying boot marks. Lily followed, watching how he pointed with his chin at scuffed dirt, broken straw. Little things she would never have spotted. Then he picked up one single boot print near the corner of the house, a print with a deep notch in the heel, the same kind of heel she had seen on the boots of Harlan Voss's trail boss. She swallowed hard. Eli did not say the name. He did not need to. Lily said it for him. It is Harlan. It has to be. Eli wiped his palms on his jeans, looked toward the far tree and let the silence fall between them. Some things do not need saying. Both of them already knew the only name that fit those tracks. He told her they would not wait for the next snake. They would not hope the sheriff would help. They would set the stage themselves, catch the man who thought he owned her land, and end this before someone ended her. The plan he laid out was simple, but it carried the kind of danger that made Lily's pulse drum in her neck. She was not the same woman she had been 3 months ago. She felt stronger now, like something inside her had finally decided to fight back. Eli asked her if she was ready, really ready, because once they started there would be no turning back. Lily looked at the dead snake, then at the tracks in the dirt, then at the man who had held her steady when she fell. She nodded. If you are enjoying this story, consider subscribing so you do not miss the next part. And while you settle in with a warm cup of tea, tell me what time it is where you are and where you are listening from. Lily barely slept that night, not from fear, but from the way Eli's plan kept circling in her mind like a hawk over a rabbit trail. By sunrise, the two of them were already moving around the ranch, quiet and focused, setting things exactly the way Eli wanted. He told her the trick to catching a man like Heron was simple. You do not chase him. You let him believe he's hunting you. So Lily played her part. She rode into Sheridan late that morning, boots dusty, hair loose, looking like a woman worn thin. She stopped by the general store, then the livery. Then she walked right past the saloon where Heron liked to sit on warm days. She pretended not to see him, which of course made him watch her even harder. Every step she took past that saloon felt like she was walking out on a ledge with no rail. When he stepped onto the boardwalk and asked if she was doing all right, she let her shoulders sag just enough to look defeated. She told him she had barely slept, told him a snake tried to bite her, told him Eli had gone back to his own ranch and she would be alone tonight on Hart Ranch. She even let her voice tremble when she said, I have been thinking maybe you were right about selling. A woman cannot hold this place alone forever. Then she said the line Eli had coached her to say, I do not know if I can keep fighting this. Maybe selling the place would be easier. Harlan smiled at her like a cat that had finally gotten the door open on the chicken coop. He wished her a good day and told her he hoped she made the right choice. Lily nodded politely, turned her horse, and rode home calm as a preacher. But the moment she reached Hart Ranch, her mask dropped. Eli was already in the barn loft checking his rifle. 2 of his trusted cowboys were posted near the windmill, out of sight. Lily felt safer than she had in months. Evening fell fast. The sky turned purple. The land cooled enough that even the grass seemed to stop breathing. Lily lit one lamp in the house and left the front door cracked just enough to look careless. She sat at the table with her heart pounding like a drum inside a church hall. When the first hoofbeats came, she knew 3 horses moving slow, deliberate, predators, not visitors. Lily stood up and gripped the small pistol Eli had given her. She reminded herself she was not bait. She was part of the trap. Whatever happened tonight would decide if she stayed a victim or became the true owner of this land. A shadow stepped into the doorway. A man with a bandana around his neck and a grin that said he had done this before. He told her to pack her things and come quietly. She told him to go to hell. The fight that followed was not graceful. It was desperate and loud and real. Lily swung a wooden block into his face. He stumbled. She fired once into the floor, not to hit, but to call the thunder she knew was waiting in the dark. The crack of that gunshot brought Eli out of the shadows like lightning. And just like that, the trap was sprung. But what Eli found outside the house was something even he did not expect. Who was the man waiting behind the barn? And why did he look more terrified than dangerous? Eli reached the corner of the barn with his rifle raised, ready to finish the job. But the man crouched behind the water trough was not aiming a gun at him. He was shaking, hands up, eyes darting like a trapped animal. He kept whispering that he never wanted to hurt Lily, that he had only come because Harlan forced him. He said Harlan paid extra for the snake. He said Harlan planned to burn the ranch to the ground after taking Lily away. That was when Lily realized this was not just about dirt and fences. It was about wiping her name off the map. His voice cracked like he had finally reached the end of a long road of fear. Eli lowered his rifle just enough for the man to breathe. Then he stepped closer and asked the question Lily had been afraid to voice for months. Why did Harlan want her land so badly? The man told them about a new cattle route Harlan wanted to control. A shortcut that cut straight through Hart Ranch. A road that could make him rich and give him even more power in Sheridan. Lily listened, standing in the doorway with dust in her hair and a pistol still shaking in her hand. She felt something inside her shift. Not fear, not anger, something steadier, something stronger. Eli signaled to his cowboys, and together they took the man into town before dawn. Sheridan woke to a confession that spread like wildfire, a confession about murder, threat, the snake, the plan to burn the ranch. It was enough for the sheriff to ride out with 10 men and drag Harlan Voss from his fancy porch before breakfast. When it was over, the town felt different, quieter, lighter, even. People tipped their hats at Lily for the first time. Not because she was a widow, but because she had survived something meant to break her. It felt strange carrying respect on her shoulders instead of pity, but it fit better than she expected, and she had not done it alone. Later that evening, Lily and Eli sat on the same hay bale where the rattlesnake had waited for her. The sky over the Big Horn Mountains was the kind of soft gold you only see after a storm clears. Eli told her the land had a way of testing people, the same way life tested people. He said, "You do not get to choose the hard days, only the way you stand through them." Lily smiled at him. She told him she was tired of standing alone. Eli did not say anything. He did not speak for a long moment. Then he turned her hand palm up, tracing the calluses she had earned these past months with his thumb, slow and careful before closing her fingers inside his own. And maybe that is the lesson in all this. Sometimes life knocks you down so you can see who will help you back up. Sometimes fear shows you the strength you did not know you had. Maybe you know that feeling yourself. The moment you look back and realize you lived through the thing you thought would finish you. And sometimes the person you trust most arrives the moment you stop running. Before we move to the next story, I want to ask you something. What would you have done in Lily's place? And who would you hope to have standing beside you when the trouble comes? If you felt something from this story, give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Now, take a sip of your tea, settle in, and tell me where you're listening from.